Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Love Queendom. This is a space of love and joy and peace and abundance and all the good things. And here at The Love Queendom, we talk about spiritual ascension and how to create your own reality. On today's episode, I actually am sharing with you guys my ramblings about money and the energy of abundance, which was a series of voice notes that I actually recorded for a friend who is also on the spiritual journey. And I was explaining to him my understanding of what money is, how it works, how it is being used to enslave humanity, and how we can transcend it by using these reality creation, manifestation principles and techniques that I talk about on my platform. So I am doing this recording right now as an intro to my ramblings. So it's very raw. There is some profanity in it, so I apologize if that offends you guys. I haven't been doing a lot of aggressive editing of my episodes, and I actually just record most everything on my phone because it's easy for me. And I really just feel like I want to get content out because this is part of my spiritual calling, is to share this information with people. So bear with me, as we build our platform and make everything nice for you guys. But in the meantime, we're just getting things out, and I hope that you find value in this content. I would love to know your questions, comments, etc. if you listen to this episode and what resonates with you. I do plan to do more episodes about money as well, and abundance, and really working with yourself to raise your mind above the shackles of money. So yes, I hope that you guys enjoy this episode, and I will see you in the next one. Okay, and then what else did I want to talk about? I kind of have a little bit of energy, so let me see if I can sort of explain the money concept, and you can let me know what you think. Because as I was telling you, I actually ended up having this really profound spiritual awakening experience where my third eye opened and I was able to see a lot of things in a very different way than I normally would. And now I'm kind of out of that experience, so everything looks and feels normal, but I still remember what it felt like to be in that experience where I could understand everything. And I was kind of really getting a glimpse of what is the true nature of this reality and how does everything work, right? So it's kind of like we're living in a hologram, and the hologram is almost built on an algorithm, and the algorithm will basically give you whatever energy that you're in alignment with. So if you're vibrating at a certain frequency based on the programs that are running in your subconscious mind, that is going to be the reality timeline that you're going to live in, right? And so because most people don't know this, their reality is based on whatever information is being fed to them. And so they believe in whatever they see. So if they're watching the news, if they're watching social media, everything going on around them, whatever is they're getting fed in school, in their family, circle, that is what their reality is going to be. And the tricky thing about this is that most people, again, because they don't understand this is how this whole construct works, they're not able to see outside of their own reality. So they believe that everything that is happening in their little bubble is how it is for everybody else, right? And the only time people can really conceptualize a different reality is maybe they think about, okay, people who live in a different country, obviously their reality is going to be different, right? But they're not really able to conceptualize a reality where the person sitting beside you, even though they're sitting beside you, could be actually in a totally different frequency than you. So they could be experiencing a completely different reality because they're in a totally different energy than you, even though they're sitting right beside you. You know what I mean? And all this means is that the way that you live your life and the experiences that are happening to you and the things that you're able to do will be different from that person just because you guys are in a different energy. So I think it's very hard for people to wrap their minds around that, but it's very, very important because this is sort of the core, the base of how to manipulate your reality. And then once you understand that, and then you understand that, okay, everything is just based on like what the programs are that I'm running in my mind. So if I'm not able to experience something that I want to experience, or if my reality isn't feeling how I want it to feel, I have to shift myself internally in order to get myself to a place where the kind of reality that I want to experience feels normal, feels natural for me, right? Now, when it comes to the money thing, we have all grown up in a structure, like a reality where money exists. So we're not able to naturally conceptualize what it would look like, what it would feel like, what it would be like if money didn't exist. Like, how would we function without money? Most people, they cannot wrap their mind around this because they don't understand, number one, that we're in a hologram. It's not real. It's like basically like the Sims game, right? So that's number one. And then number two, they can't wrap their mind around how a world without money would work because they have been indoctrinated in the money belief system. So they cannot see beyond it, outside of it. But remember, like I was telling you, once you understand the principle of the fact that the reality that you experience is based on the programs running in your subconscious mind. So if you're not able to conceptualize a reality without money and kind of be able to imagine what that would look like and how it would work, it means that your mind isn't there. Like, your mind doesn't have a program that is capable of showing you what that would look like, which would then allow you to actually experience it in reality. You understand what I'm trying to say? Like, I'm trying to paint a picture so you know where I'm going with this. Now, the way that money works, basically, it's like everything in these realities is some sort of manipulation of energy, right? So when we're talking about like pure energies, a lot of people think having a lot of money is being abundant, but that's not true, okay? Abundance is a frequency on its own. And that just means that no matter what, you will always have everything you need and you will always be provided for. And you never feel like you don't have enough or you feel like you're lacking something. That is what being in the energy of abundance is like. So that doesn't necessarily mean that you will have like all the material things in the world. No, because what actually is going on with people who are rich, right? They have a lot of money. They are actually in an energy of lack. So what they have to do is they have to accumulate a lot of money in order for them to feel like they're in abundance. And part of generating that feeling for them is accumulating a lot of material things that has a perception of being valuable. This is why you see celebrities have tons of designer bags, designer shoes, expensive cars, expensive clothes. They do that because they are actually running off of programs of lack, where they have to chase these material things and acquire these material things in order for them to feel abundant. And it basically is like a false sense of security, a false sense of abundance, right? Whereas if you naturally reside in the energy of abundance, you don't feel like, oh, I need this, or I want this, or I want that all the time. I'm not trying to say that you're never going to feel like you want things, but I'm just saying you're not going to feel like you have to have these things to make yourself feel good. And also, You're going to just kind of be relaxed because you're always going to feel and know that no matter what you actually need to survive and to like move your way through this reality, like, putting food on the table for yourself and your family, if you need to travel somewhere for something, the resources for you to be able to do that will always come to you, and you don't have to be afraid of not having enough. This is what abundance is. So it's a totally different paradigm, right? So money is basically like a program that makes people believe they have to have. You need the money. You need the money. You need the money. If you don't have the money, you're in lack. You're in lack. You're in lack, right? It's like a mind fuck, basically. So money is actually a program of lack. It's the opposite of being in the energy of abundance. And when I say that money isn't real, I'm just trying to say that you don't actually need this whole system of I have to earn currency in order to exchange it for a thing. No, because if we were all existing in the energy of abundance, we would all be able to give and take freely and know that me giving to you is not going to mean that I'm not going to be provided for. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So we can kind of be more at ease with our dealings with each other because we're all operating from the same energy, from the same frequency of knowing that we can share all of our resources, we can give and take in a balanced way. But most people, they're not even close to that frequency. And so that's why the reality that most people live in, it looks the way that it looks, right? Where it's like struggly and a lot of lack and people like chasing money, right? Now, another thing too about the money structure, and this is really just to illustrate how this money is a total facade. And not only is it a facade, but it's also like an energetic slavery system and an energetic Ponzi scheme. Because the way how money works is that the only people who are allowed to create money are central banks and commercial banks. So the Central Bank of Canada, for example, they're the only ones that are allowed to create money. Like you can't just make a bunch of Canadian dollar bills in your house and then go to the store and spend it. That's not allowed, right? So they're the only ones who can create the money. But then tell me how it makes sense that only they can create the money. And then we have to work for that money, which takes your energy, right? Like your life force energy is required for you to work. We have to work for the money that they are able to create out of nothing, just based on the fact that they're the only ones that are allowed to do it. And we all have agreed that they're the only ones that are allowed to do it. So they can create the money. We have to work for it. And also, they can lend us that money through commercial banks like TD, RBC, BMO, right? You can go to these banks, you can get a loan. Now, when the bank loans you money, they charge you interest. That interest is like extra money on top of the money that they gave you. So let's say you get a loan for $10,000, but with the interest, you actually have to owe them $12,000. But remember, only the banks can create money. So if they are able to create the $10,000 that they gave you for the initial loan, where does the $2,000 extra come from that you are now also paying back in interest? Where does that money come from when you are not able to create money? Are you seeing how it's a Ponzi scheme? Because you basically have to like overexert your energy to try and steal that energy from someone else to get that additional $2,000, which you then give back to them in addition to the initial $10,000 that they gave you. So it's not sustainable because if they're the only ones who can create money, but they're giving us the money and then telling us you also have to pay back more than what I gave you, but only I can create that money. Where does that money come from? essentially it means that there's always going to be a loser in that money game. So it's fucked up. It's inherently fucked up. But most people, because they don't understand how money works, even just from like a basic, let's say 3D financial perspective, they don't know that this is how money works. Number one. Number two, they don't understand how money works from an energetic perspective, which is how I'm trying to explain it to you, right? So it's, yeah, like it's basically a fake energy game that they're playing in order to keep people enslaved forever, to the point where you are never able to escape from having to work for money, because you're always going to be in debt. You're always going to be in a negative. You're always going to be having to work for it just for survival, or work for it to pay back what you borrowed. So it's totally like a slavery system. It's an energetic slavery system. So like I said, the alternative out of that is resting in the energy of abundance, which requires you to download new programs into your subconscious mind, so that that feeling of, okay, everything that I need is always going to come to me, is natural for you. So now you're no longer worried or afraid or feeling like, I don't know where I'm going to get the money or the resources, whatever, to like put food on my table or pay my bills or do the things that I need to do. You're not thinking from that construct anymore. Like, you've pulled your mind out of that way of thinking, which then pulls your energy out of that reality. So you're still here in the physical world, like moving around the matrix, but you're not tied to it in the same way that most people are. So I don't know if I'm making sense. Like I said, I feel like the money one, it's very complex, but this is the basic concept that I've been able to understand it, because like I said, I've been doing a lot of work on raising my mind above money so that I can really understand how this shit actually works and pull myself out of it, but also like explain to other people like, okay, this is, the game, how it works. And so as I've been doing this work, like you were talking about getting downloads and stuff, right? So I had received a few different downloads on like how I can completely transcend money, where I don't need to work for it anymore, and I can just like create it and like move money around and inject it into the system and like be free to do whatever I want. So I'm actually in like complete and total abundance. I have not implemented the vision that was given to me yet in order to make that happen. So that's something that I need to work on actually this year. I already know what it is that I need to do, but then, it's like you'll get the end of like, okay, this is the end. Now you have to figure out like, okay, the steps to get there. So I'm just kind of, again, using my manifestation power to know that, okay, if this is the end that has been shown to me to completely transcend money, I just have to move in faith and trust that somehow I'm going to end up there and like, will eventually be like completely free of having to work for money, and like I can just create things and live my life and like do the shit that I need to do according to my divine destiny. But until we get there, we're still out of the money system, in the sense that, like I said, I'm resting in the energy of abundance. So no matter what I do, like I'm always going to have enough. Favor is always going to move in my benefit to shift my reality around. So like I'm never struggling. I'm never in lack. I always have everything I need. Even if I spent all the money in my bank account, tomorrow something will come in for me and like I'll be fine, And I can 100% tell you that I've been having these types of experiences, but that is because I am very, very aggressive with doing the mental and energetic work that is required to shift myself into the frequency where I can experience these things, So let me know what you think, if there was anything that like didn't make sense or whatever. Like I said, the money thing, it's like a very, very tough one for people to wrap their minds around, but it's probably the last shackle and chain that will kind of keep you stuck in the matrix, if you can't raise your mind above it. So, yeah.